Okay, good evening. Back in the saddle, back in Brooklyn, back in the hood. So we're at the Samech Aleph Amid Aleph. Samech Aleph Amid Aleph. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines in the bottom. Right? Samech Aleph Amid Aleph. Today's daf is Samech Beis. We're up to Samech Aleph Amid Aleph. Right? We're up to Samech Aleph Amid Beis. What did I say? No. Samech Aleph. I said it right. Okay, anyway. It seems he had in his possession more than one land, and he had acquired it from Rabbi Chia, and he said to him, "This land, Rabbi Chia, mizamnan Allah." In the Beit Chia, he had two pieces of land that were called the literally the house of Chia. Amravashi, Chod Amalei, Tarti Lo Amalei. He's only selling him one. He wasn't selling him two. It only says Rashi, said Rashbam, right? Ara Debei Reb Chia, Shekonim Reb Chia, Ara Loshen Yachid, Amalei, V'yitol Alkeach Hapchusa Shebeshnehem, and now you have two. So which one is he going to take? He's going to take the one that is the less. The Yad Balashtar Tachtaina, the one that Balashtar is what is, he has the lower hand. Or Farish Gemara of Yasel. So in other words, there's two lands. One is more superior than the other. The Balashtar, he wants to take the better land, and he says, no, you're going to take what? You're going to take the worst land. The Iyam if he would say Arasa, just Lashon land, then Mir Arasa is Shtayim, right? And the Mir of Arasa is Shtayim. So in other very much the Lashon goes ahead and tells you how much it's selling you. Remember, the price does not, because ain't enough bekarka, so you can't tell from the price. Right? We saw the Rashbam the other day. But if he says I sell you land, it means one. Arasa, he means two. The Yamalei kol arasa, it means kol arasa the islay. It means any land that he has, not just land, but any land, more than one, no, it's not two, but whatever. It could be 10. But it would only connotate regular land, levar mitbustani, which is a garden, a vegetable garden, upardisi, which is a kerem. That would not be included. That if you lashon kol arasa, that would be excluding. It would be excluding a gina and excluding what a kerem. Levar mibate va'avde, right? V'amalei sihara. And if it says lashon of sihara, then it's mashma all karka, everything he has, including what? Including a bustani and a gina, upardis and a kerem. But it would be levar mibate va'avde. It would exclude houses and avodim. So again, the Gemara is connotating the lashonis that people would use, and what exactly is part of the sale. Now notice, until now, we're dealing only with karka. An eved is hukish karka, a house is mechubel karka, so everything we're dealing now is karka. Amid Aleph, Samech Beis, Amid Aleph, the Amalei, and you say nechasai, then my nechasim, my possessions, right? Afilu bati ba'avde. Okay, afilu bati avde. That would include even houses and avodim. Says Rashbam, av metalton loy. Metalton would not be included. Adiyam like kol nechasai. If he says all my possessions, that would include it. Okay, the next piece of Gemara is kind of it's the challenge is when you see pictures is to synthesize Rashi with the picture and get it together. So I'd like to do is I've made this chart probably 30 years ago, and we did this well. So let's use the chart, my chart, the one I made over here, and it's based upon the Rashbam, and it worked. Okay, I sent it on the phone. Doc, you should have it on your phone. You should have it on your phone. Okay, so here's the first case. You have two Meitzarim. You have two boundaries. You have Ruvain, the field. If you notice, case number one, guys. Case number one. You have the two boundaries that we're gonna discuss are the one of Ruvain's and the one of Shimon, right? The one of Ruvain and the one of Shimon. So you're selling a land to an individual. Good. And you said that this land is bound by what? By Ruvain's length and Shimon's length. You'd only get that area that I call it in. You wouldn't get the land above Shimon. Of course, we're going to limit it to what? Half that boundary. In other words, not the full Ruvain boundary. You can only get to the 50-yard line. You're not going to be able to get 100 yards. You see what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. If you get the whole field, Ruvain would be to the top, but you only get that. Let's see it inside. You just keep it right there, and we'll keep it inside. Okay, so I don't know why I didn't. I'm sorry. Okay, so here for the people on the screen, you're only getting this area, right? You're only getting this area. You have this boundary of Ruvain here, this one over here. You're only getting this. So Meitzer loy meets Meitzer echad aruch u'meitzer echad katzer. One is long, one is short. Ruvain Shimon. Amarav loykona ela keneged akatzer. You only acquire the land keneged the short boundary, which is keneged Shimon on the right. Guys, you see it? Guys, you see it how it fits now? You're only getting not Ruvain, the whole boundary on the right, on Ruvain's left. You're getting Shimon's boundary on the word Shimon on his right over there. That's what you're getting. Amalu Rav Kahana of Ravasi, L'Rav, the Yikna Keneged Roish Tur. Why? Here's the Kasha, case number two. Case number two. Why are you limiting it to the 50-yard line? Why don't you go do a diagonal? In other words, and then you encompass more, you get that angle. And it says Rav was quiet. Whether Rav was quiet because he agreed or disagreed is machloikas rishonim. Guys, good? That's it. So back in the Gemara. So Amru le Rav Kana Vasi l'Rav v'yikna keneged roish tur shasik Rav u'moida Rav will be moida in this case, guys. Rav will be moida in this case where you said the field that is not on Ruvain's border, but it's bordering Ruvain and Shimon's border. By saying Shimon's border, then you would get the diagonal. You get Levi up to Levi, correct? That's the halfway point. Then you get the diagonal to Shimon because he said Ruvain and Shimon. Let's see it in the Rashbam, guys. Right before it gets wide. Umoida Rav, Mekame de Ishtik. He was moida before he was quiet in case number 1. Avo Basa de Ishtik oide betraya. But after, says Rashbam, after he was quiet, he was moida in both. Where's he moida? Heicha de Ika Meitzer Ruvain v'Shimon Mizrach. Guys, is that on the east side? Ruvain and Shimon's on the east side? Okay, right? Umeitzer Levi of Yehuda Kenegdam b'Ma'ariv. You have Levi and Yehuda opposite them on the left. Good. V'roichev Asada Kuf Ama. The width of the field is 100. V'Meitzer Levi Keneged Ruvain Nun Ama. Is that true? You see Levi is approximately the halfway point. It should be a little higher. I should have made it a little higher. Right? V'chein Meitzer Yehuda Keneged Shimon Nun Ama. And Shimon is Keneged what? Yehuda. Right? They're both 50-50. Because of Leishtar, and he wrote in the Shtar, Meitzer Ruvain v'Shimon min Mizrach u'Meitzer Yehuda min Ma'ariv. You didn't go ahead. You said it's included, right? The Shimon Ruvain and Yehuda min Ma'ariv. The Hainu Meitzer Ma'aravi Ktsas. The Levi lo Hisker, but he didn't mention the Shtar. He didn't mention Levi at all. Hachamoy Rav the Yikna Keneged Roish Tur. Then you're going to be Keneged Roish Tur. The Ihavi. In other words, you're going to flank Yehuda. You're going to flank Yehuda. He didn't mention Levi at all. You're going to flank Yehuda. If he mentioned Levi and Yehuda, you'd get the whole field, guys. Guys, if he mentioned Levi and Yehuda and Reuven and Shimon, you get the whole field. But he didn't mention Levi at all. So then, what are you getting? You're getting part of the field that's flanking Yehuda, and the whole field connected Reuven and Shimon. Geschmack is anything. Again, a picture paints 1,000 stories. Okay, let's see the next chart. Before we see the Gemara, you have Ruvain on the east and west, and Shimon on the north and south. Okay, back in the Gemara. Umoida Rav, Heicha de'ika meitz Ruvain v'Shimon michad gisa. Rav is moida. This is the case that we just did. That we Rav Ruvain Shimon is on one side. Umeitza Levi v'Yehuda michad gisa. Midahavi le'michtav lei. The Ruvain Keneged Levi, the Shimon Keneged Yehuda, V'leikosav Le. You didn't write that. Shmamina Keneged Roish Tur Huda Amalei. Keneged Roish Tur, you're going the diagonal. Now, Meitza Ruvain Mizrach Umayriv, guys. Umeitza Shimon Tzafim V'darim. Sarach Lemichtav Lei, you have to write Meitza Ruvain Ruchin Tarin, Umeitza Shimon Ruchin Tarin. You'd have to write, if you want to give them the whole field, you'd have to write Reuven and Shimon on two sides and Reuven and Shimon on two sides, right? Because if not, guys, you're going to get a diagonal. You're going to get one tlem. Look at the picture, fellas. You have to write Reuven and Shimon on two sides. Then you have Reuven on both sides and Shimon on both sides. But if you only mention Reuven and Shimon, then guess what? I did the dotted line. That's what you'll get, that dotted line. That would fulfill Reuven and Shimon. So therefore, it has to be what on both sides. Guys, it's good, it's good. Okay, very good. Next case. Iboilahu. Sayim loy es hakronos mahu. Okay, let's see the Rashbam when he explains this. The Rashbam is below the picture that we just did, Reuven and Shimon with the diagonal. Sayim loy, or above the black, a few lines up. Sayim loy es hakronos loshin simin. So you saw this harbe shel bnei adam makif neisai. You had fields of people being makif, right? You wrote in the star 4 sadas of 4 corners. Asada. So take a look at the picture. 4, right? You have 4, and now you have the sides there, guys. You see? You have the 4 corners, the 4, but you wrote the 4 corners of the field right there. The X, where the X connects to the things that I went in. That's what you wrote.
You don't get those X.
That's what you get. Mi armino, it's a kasha. It's a kasha. Mi arminon ain't derech limcha kronis asada. It's not the derech to go ahead and sell corners. Elakol asada shemitacha kronis machaloi. You sold them the whole thing with inside. The mishumhachi saim le kronosav. That's why he mentioned kronos, to go ahead and say you get the whole thing inside. Maybe he sold them only what? An angle, right? That's in other words, it's 2 possibilities. When you were Messiahim, it's not normal to go ahead, but when you went to corners, you meant to get what? Everything within that parameters, or no. Or maybe no, since you mentioned the corners, you're only getting a tlem, a row, connected those corners. Mendy, we have Gemaras here for you.
You're only getting the X.
That's the shaila. That's the shaila. Do you get the whole thing, or you're only getting the X? Now the X would be a row. The X would be a row. Shasi v'erev. Kimin ga'am. Now gamma is a type. It's a Greek letter. Ois Yavanis v'doimel kuf. Kigoin she meitzeloi keren droimis mizrach. Guys, this is when you do like on the mizbeach. You split shtaim shein arba, right? You're switching the corners, right? So you're getting both. So look. I have it over here. It's darkened. You see, I darkened the corners. If you look at when it says Kimin Ga'am, you see over there, I darkened the corners. Do you say you get the whole thing? Do you say you get the whole thing, or only get what in that expanse going down the middle? Right. So the Gemara asks that Shaila. What does the Gemara say? Mahu, what's the din? On middays, what's the din? Is one more case. The Sirugin Mahu. Okay, Sirugin is an interesting case. You have 8 people involved. You have Yehuda, Levi, Reuven, Shimon, Yosef, Binyamin, Yisachar, Zevulun. Now let's see what Rashi said, what the Rashbam says. Keep going. Show you Makif and I say this field was surrounded by Shmoyne b'nei Adam, by 8 people. Shnayim l'chol ruach. Reuven v'Shimon min ha-Mizrach, Levi v'Yehuda min ha-Tzafoin, Yisachar v'Zvulun min ha-Ma'ariv, Yosef Binyamin min ha-Dorim. The cost of Reuven makes a Mizrach, Levi makes a Tzafin, Yisachar makes a Ma'ariv, Yosef makes a Dorim. So you mentioned one of the 2, guys. You mentioned one of the 2 on each side. You see, you have 2 on each side. You mentioned one of the 2 on each side. Imtim Saloima, if you're going to say Kimin Ga'am, the previous case where it was like a gamma, Loikana elabal lachsoin. You only kind of within the parameters of the diagonal. Hainu mishum the derech limcha tlem echad bein beisadais. It's a derech to go ahead and sell a tlem between 2 sadais. It's not normal to go ahead and sell tlomim in skipping. And therefore it was just difficult to write the whole thing. In other words, do we say that imtim salim by gam? That's by the gam, but over here not? Or no, you would say, and the Gemara remains what with teku. Gemara remains with teku. Okay, there's one more thing on the chart. We'll get to that soon. Bez Hashem. Okay, so there are a bunch of cases of again of. But no, well, the last of few tekus, but again, the need to go ahead and be very exact in the shtaris. Now, meitza rishon, umeitza sheni, umeitza shlishi, umeitza revi loy meitza loy. So here's what he told them, guys. Listen, what he told them. We got 3 machlokes, guys. I'm selling you a field. And he mentions the east, south, west, and north. He just kind of leaves out, right? He leaves out the north. Let's say in this case over here. So he's mentioning, right? He's mentioning, I'm selling you this field, but he doesn't mention the fourth. So this is your field on the east, south, west. This is further to say that. Okay, whatever, don't need to mention the north. You have a ches, whatever's contained within that ches is the whole field, you're good. So we're going to have a 3 machlokes what he means. 3 machlokes what he means, okay? So again, meitza rishon, meitza sheni, meitza shlishi. And again, I'm leaving out the north. Meitza revi, and the northernmost, loy meitza loy. Amarav, kona hakol, chutz mi meitza revi. He's kona everything, with the exception of the meitza, the fourth side. So Rashbam says, anything that's encompassed within that ches, the tlem, the row of the northern side, like kana. In other words, when he left out the Meitzer Revi, he must be what he accomplished something, fellas. It must be he accomplished something by leaving it out. So what? Such a powerful sigh, it made it through the mute. So guys, watch. If a guy says all 4 sides of the field, that's what he gets. East, west, north, south. Good. He left out north. It must be that he left over something, right? Says Rab, why did he leave over? The row going the north, he wouldn't get. He'd get everything, in my fingers, he'd get everything, except the tip of my fingers from here to here, he would not get what? That row. That's what he left over. That's Rav. That's Rav. Okay. Ushmul Amar, Afilu Meitzer Revi. Shmuel says what? You would even get what? Everything? Well, you get only 3 left out from number 4. You would get what? You get everything. Shmuel says Afilu Meitzer Revi. You would get the Meitzer Revi. Good. Ravasi Amar, you wouldn't get any, you'd get a row on the east, a row on the south, a row on the west, and nothing in the north. 3 machlokes. According to Rav, you're getting the whole field, except what? 1 tlem in the north. According to Shmuel, you're getting the whole field, including the north. According to Ravasi, you're not getting the whole field. You're getting a tlem in the east, a tlem in the south, a tlem in the west, and the north. You're not getting anything because he didn't mention anything in the north. He mentioned east, south, west, but he didn't mention anything in the north. Okay, so now the Gemara fierce ice. So Ravasi Amar loy kon el tlem echad al pnei kula. It's only 3. Sabla Karav. He holds like Rav the Amar shiure shire. That he left over something, he left over the northern border. And when he left over there, he left over everything. So he left over everything. And therefore, what would you get? 3 sides. You get the east side, the south side, and the west side. But the north that he didn't mention, you won't get anything. So 3 machlokes. Amarava, halacha is koina hakol chutz mi meitzer revi. So who that's like Rav. So why didn't he say the halacha is like Rav? Because he's going to say something else. In other words, apparently he's saying like Rav. You're getting the north, you're getting the south. Excuse me, you're getting the east, the south, the west, and you're not getting the north. So that's the halacha. However, now he qualifies it. Now here I did not make a a picture. But if you look at Rashi's picture, if you have a page, notice this, not the one on the first picture, the second picture. The first one, it's the piece of northern is incorporated in the ches. It's muvla, it's swallowed up in the ches. The second picture, it's outside the ches. It's loy muvla. That's the key, guys. You see the picture. In the picture, it's incorporated in the ches, and the other one, what it is, chutz from the ches. Good. So those are. So now, Rob is going to qualify this. So I say that what? That you get the whole field except the northern border. That you're not kind of the northern border. Ella delay mivla if it's not included in the ches. Aval mivla kana. But mivla you would be kind of. So there he's different than Rav. Rav says there's no way you ever get the northern border. Never. And he says, Shmuel, 1 second. He qualifies it, Rava. When do I say you don't get it? When it's outside the ches. But if it's inside the ches, you would get it, and then it would be like Shmuel, you get the whole field. Okay? And now another qualification. And when it's not swallowed up, also we don't say you're not kaina. You have a row of trees on it, or tisha kavim, or it's roy tisha kavim. In other words, that meitzah has to be choshev. It has to have a hedge of trees on it, or it has to be roy for the pit 9 kavim. So in other words, if it's this, in order to not be kaina, you need 2 factors. One, it can't be muvla; it has to be outside. And 2, it can't be chashiv. It has to be no hedge on it and no area that you can plant 9. If it's missing one of the 2, then you would be kaina. Missing one of the 2, you would be kaina. And so therefore, he didn't say Allah is like Rav, because Rav holds cholapakas. It's always kaina, right? So therefore, he didn't say Allah is like Rav. So nachmal. Amar Rava halacha kaina kol chutz mi meitzer revi v'le'amarim that you're not kaina elad loy mivla where it's not in the ches. Aval mivla then kaina. And in addition, when it's not in the ches, when it's outside, you need another factor. What's the other factor? The ikolel rich with the dikla can't have on it a hedge of trees. But tisha kavim, or it can't be brave tisha kavim. Avalekala rich with the dikla havi tisha kavim kana. Good. Now, according to this, we can infer the following: missing one of the 2, then you're kaina. Mechlal dechi muvla. If it's mixed, if it's what, we can figure out if it's inside. Afagav the ikolel rich with the dikla havi tisha kavim kana. Guys, in other words, if Rava said his din dafka when it's outside the ches, mashma when it's inside the ches, even if it has the milo of being choshev because it has trees and a plant of 9 kavim, you still would be kind of it. Because he said outside the ches. Okay? I'll say it again. Yeah. Let's go through it again. Let's look at it. Guys, look at me. Let's look at 2. You want to acquire this, right? You want to acquire this. The only way you're acquiring it if there's 2 negatives for the kaina. What are the 2 negatives? 1, it's not inside the boundary. And 2, it's not choshev. Choshev means it has trees. Let's use those words. Good. So according to Rava, if it's inside the boundaries, even if it has trees, since you have what? 1 positive of inside the boundaries, you would be kaina even though you have the negative of trees. Good? Good. That's the first lesson. That's the first lesson. Ikadi Amri, there's another way to learn over here. Amarava, halacha kaina hakol. Vafilu meitzer revi'i. You kaina everything, like Rab, like Shmuel. Guys, like Shmuel. You kind of everything like Shmuel. Ble'amaron el the mivla. When you kind of everything, you need the negative that that it's incorporated. It's in the ches. Avaloi mivla, if it's out of the ches, loy kana. V'chi mivla, and if it's inside the ches, nami le'amaron el deleka le'richva de dikla. According to this lashon, even if you have one negative, you're out. According to this lashon, even if you have one negative, you're out. So even though I'm inside the ches, right, which is you should give it to me. If it has richva de dikla, I'm not going to get it. But it has a hedge. Okay, mechlal dechiloi muvla. If it's not incorporated, then you never get it. Even if what doesn't have richva de dikla. Okay, so look at the chart. Now you have the chart. This is where I put the chart out. Here's the first lashon, guys. Two possibilities: mivla v'dikla, without trees or with trees. So in the first lashon, again, in order to be once you're without trees, you're kinda. Why? Because it's muvla, it's inside. With trees, you're kinda. Of course, it's muvla, you're inside. It doesn't make a difference. In the first lashon, as long as it's mivla, you're gonna be kinda. If it's not mivla, then you're kinda without trees. Why? Because you don't have both negatives. But if you have both negatives with trees, it's like mivla, and without trees, then what? Then not kinda. Good. That's the first lashon. The second lashon is you need one or two. Mivla, if it's right, without trees, then you're kinda, because you're missing both. With trees, you're not kinda. Even though you have a negative, what? Of mivla, you have the positive with trees, right? So in that case, since you have one mila, you're not going to be kaina. And certainly in the next one, loy mivla, you're out completely. Not kaina, not kaina. So now, what are the differences between the two, and what's the similarities between the two? So guys, A to A, that's the same case, right? A to A, C to C, that's nafkamina, right? C to C is the nafkamina. You notice both C's are nafkaminas, guys, right? Both B's are the same as A's. B's, you're not kaina, not kaina. C's, that's the nafkamina, right? C's, in one case, you're kaina, in one case, you're not kaina. Both C's, you're not kaina. Good? That's what we're going to see right now. Let's see it inside. Now, Shamina Mitravayu, so you can hear from both of these cases. Lishna, from both the shyness, either the first lashon or the second lashon, the Rava, the Besada, Loishayer V'Loimidi. In the Sada, we're not discuss again. In the Sada itself, within the Ches, you're not leaving over anything. The only discussion, guys, is what? Is the boundary, the northern boundary. Guys, right? Mm-hmm. So the Sada, the field itself, yes, no discussion. No machlokes. Whether you get the field without the boundary, Shmuel, you get the field with the boundary. Either lashon, you're getting the field. No shaila. The Shamina Nami, the Heicha de Mivla, where it is inside, the lekala richla de dikla. Okay, let's get that on the chart. It's muvla, and there's no trees. Those are your A's, guys. Mm-hmm. Those are your A's, right? V'loy havi tishakavim kana, you be kaina. You see it on the chart. They're both A's. What are both A's? They're mivla. They're right. They're swallowed up, and they're without trees. Guys, you good? Next, loy mivla. If it's not swallowed up, the ikola richla dikla ravi teskavin loy kana. So let's go through this. Loy mivla. It's not swallowed up, and there is rivla dikla. That's your B, guys. That's your B, right? Loy mivla, and it's without trees. You're not kana. That's your B. Mivla, if it's swallowed up. The ikola or loy mivla v'lekoleha itma lahagisa v'itma lahagisa. There you have what? There's your C's, guys. There's your C's. Geschmack. This is good try. I hear the days. You don't have days and B's. I hear the days and B's this time. I hear the days and B's this time. It made a difference. So what's the psak? Shuda the daini. In that case, shuda the daini. You're going to go ahead and let the dayan decide. We have machlokas what it means earlier in the Masechta, machlokas Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam. We leave it up to the dayan. They should decide, or should the dayan they figure out what that guy wants. What he should the person what the person would want. That was the machlokas Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam. Okay, Geshmak, a little more. Amar Rabba. How good? Okay, so meduyik in the lashon, guys. Listen to me, meduyik in the lashon. Okay, meduyik in the lashon. Now, what's the case? Two shutfin, and one of the shutfin is selling his land to somebody else. So I have two shutfin. I have half a field. I have half a field. I have a field with Avrami Weinrib. We own the field together. I'm selling a field to Dak. I'm selling a field to Dak. Now, why do I tell Dak? It's the following. If I tell Dak, how good the Isli Ba'ara, half that there is to me in the land, half that is to me in the land, what am I selling you? Halga. I'm selling you my whole part. Halga, half that there is to me in the land. However, if I say, Halga Ba'ara the Isli, half of the land that there is to me, then Revia. Guys, you hear the difference? Again, if I tell him I'm selling you palga of the land that there is to me, then it's you get a quarter. If I tell you I'm selling palga of half the land, then you're getting the whole half. Right? Amar Abaye ma'ishna hachi ishtik. Amar Abaye anosavi mid ishtik kabuli kibla. I thought when he was quiet, he was makabel. So I thought when I asked this about to Rava. I thought that Rava was I thought Rava was Makabel. However, he wasn't Makabel. Chazina and Hani Shtori, I saw these Shtoros, the Nafik Mibei Mar, that came out of Mar, that's Rabba. Again, Rabba is always the Mar from the uncle of Abaya. So he saw the Shtoros that came out of the Bezdin of Rabba. Uksibahu Hachi, Palga Disli Ba'ara, half that there is to me in the Ara, Palga, you get half. Halga Ba'ara, half of the land, Isli, that is to me what? Then you're going to get a quarter. Nice to see everybody.